Just a disclaimer, everything said in this video is alleged until proven otherwise. Okay, thank you. Hey guys, how you going? Okay, for some reason my volume is lower today. OBS just updated itself, and now I'm sound a bit quieter than I normally do. Okay, anyway, let's get into this. Liz Crokin said Diddy, as bad as Epstein, had young victims. One of the Department of Homeland Security agents who raided Diddy's Florida home claims Diddy had young victims and was as bad as Jeffrey Epstein. The source told the New York Post that the music mogul had rooms that were clearly dedicated to relations, with cameras all round just like at Epstein's home. So if you were in those sex parties, you were being recorded from every possible angle, including angles you wouldn't have known about. The source said, referring to the sometimes days-long orgies he called freak-offs, where drugged-up victims were allegedly forced to sleep with male prostitutes. These women are young, the source added, either barely legal or barely illegal. I have no doubt Diddy and some of his associates were attacking and trafficking children. Also, Diddy is tied to Epstein via his alleged sex trafficker, Rachel Chandler. Read my post below on Justin Bieber and Diddy. Diddy as bad as Epstein, said, who's this? New York Post. Says officer who saw his sex rooms, hidden cameras during Miami mansion raid. Yeah, and what did he do to Bieber? Did Bieber try to warn us that Diddy is involved in, okay, you know, the thing? Here it comes again. Justin Bieber's father-in-law, Stephen Baldwin, asked for prayers for Justin and Hailey Bieber yesterday as allegations of Jeffrey Epstein-type crimes continue to pour out against Diddy. Justin's mother, Patty Millett, revealed in a 2023 YouTube video, Justin Bieber's mum speaks out, Usher and Diddy's impact on his life exposed, Diddy's inappropriate behaviour with his son. In the video, she claims Diddy offered Bieber cocaine, marijuana and alcohol at his parties. She said she was horrified and that she was forced to intervene in order to protect him. In one clip that's been widely circulated on social media, Diddy can be seen standing next to a 15-year-old Bieber saying, what we've been up to we can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. In the below clip, Diddy had 15-year-old Bieber stuttering when he pressed him for not wanting to hang out with him anymore. Fast forward to 2020, Bieber released his Yummy music video where he's dining with a group of elites. Bieber posted photos of babies and pizza on his Instagram back then to promote Yummy. Now compound all this with the allegations coming against Diddy and the fact he was pals with Epstein, alleged sex trafficker Rachel Chandler. It sure doesn't look good for Diddy. This is what we were all talking about, which we weren't allowed to talk about, but we talked about years ago. Okay, so there you go. It's looking like, yeah. And someone tried to fact check and say that Kamala wasn't involved. Never forget how Kamala Harris got her start. She isn't a stranger to Diddy parties in LA either. No, because she was partying along all the way, and they asked who she was, and he said Kamala. Ian Carroll said one of Diddy's slaves exposed Diddy and the whole hip-hop agenda way back in 2018. We're talking Black Boule, the Clintons, Obama, Trump, drug smuggling, the Illuminati and more. And at the time, he seemed like a crazy nut job, but now 6 years later, an awful lot of what he said is directly evidenced in the Diddy lawsuit and elsewhere. Definitely put on your tinfoil hat here. I'm not making any claims of facts. Just having fun eating aluminium for breakfast. This is part one. I'm sure many more will follow, and the link to the full interview down below. Let's have a look.
The following is a mandatory tinfoil hat zone. I've been going back to the guy that shot up the Trump Hotel back in 2018 and listening to the interview he gave in the hospital before he was put in jail. And we're about to go Diddy, the rap industry, drug smuggling, but also Trump, Obama, Hillary, human trafficking, the Black Boule, everything. This shit is so wild, and it's going to take multiple videos to parse out. We're talking about this guy, Jonathan Odie. And way back in 2018, before the Cassie lawsuit, before the Lil Rod lawsuit, before they raided Diddy's home, before they arrested Diddy, he claimed that he was a Diddy sex slave and that he had sex with Cassie and Diddy multiple times. He claims he contracted herpes, he sued them, he won. He claims they're going to try to kill Trump and he's trying to warn Trump. He claims a lot of things. And some of them are just out there, but some of them have been directly corroborated by things we've learned since. And in this first video, we're going to dig into what he calls the hip-hop agenda. But first, if you're not familiar with what happened and what this dude did to get arrested, let's watch a tape. So this is security camera footage from Trump National Hotel, Doral, Miami, Florida. And this is from back in 2018. And it's sped up, and there's a couple places where the stamp time lapses, and I won't show you the whole thing. But basically, this guy, Jonathan Odie, walks in with a gun. Somewhere he's got, it just time-lapsed, he's got a giant American flag. He drapes it all across the counter. Pulls down the chandelier, he said. He shoots some rounds at the ceiling, and then he basically just stands there and waits for police to come. He smashes some shit for apparently no reason, like just committing crimes for the sake of committing crimes, apparently. And then he just stands around with a gun, and now the cops are outside, and he's like kind of giving up and surrendering, but maybe they're not realizing it or accepting it. So then he pulls out a gun, starts shooting at them, doesn't hit any of them as far as I'm aware. He runs out of bullets or something. Not sure what happens exactly, but at a certain point, he decides it's time to book it, and he runs. He gets shot 3 times in the leg during this exchange, slips, keeps running, runs up the stairs, and then in this upper room, he eventually is just like, yeah, fuck it. And he gives up, puts the gun down, moves some furniture, lies down on the ground, and surrenders. And he's got bullet wounds in his leg. And then he gets interviewed by Secret Service in the infirmary before he gets sent off to prison or jail or wherever. And he says some wild shit. The total interview is 33 minutes long, and I spent like 3 hours last night transcribing it all and trying to figure out his voice because he's got a super weird voice. And I've been digging through corroborating all the crazy things he says in this interview. But one of the most interesting things is about the hip-hop agenda. Before we get to that, let's do the Diddy stuff, because he made all these claims before anyone officially knew anything about Diddy. Check this out.
Do you know Sean Combs?
Puff Daddy?
Yeah.
P. Diddy, whatever you call himself.
Yeah. I had sex with Cassie and Sean. Basically, he would masturbate and tell me what to do with Cassie. I had like 15 encounters, and I heard a lot of business. Because what they would do is Sean talks a lot on the phone and on the TV with speakers and stuff, and I was like a sex slave, okay? For them, that's what I was. That's all right? I caught herpes, and I came back and I sued them for the herpes and won. But they did. Mark Garagos and Ben Mercedes were his attorneys, okay? And Christopher Leon's here was my attorney. They asked me to turn in that, which was the video recording, and I did so.
Looking into the lawyers he just named, there's all kinds of dirt down that rabbit hole, but that's for another video. But when you watch the interview, you can tell that the investigators are like, this guy's fucking schizophrenic. What the hell is he talking about? And he like keeps on trying to like redirect him without making him feel defensive, as though they don't believe him. But now we know that what he said about Diddy was 100% on point. Like in a way that you could only know if you actually were a Diddy sex slave. Because if you don't know, Diddy liked to pay sex workers to have sex with his girlfriend, and he would watch and film and direct and jerk off, as well as a whole bunch of other super dark shit. Now, let's get into the juicy part right here. The hip-hop agenda.
Basically, what happens is the hip-hop agenda is an agenda to move drugs law in the United States. You need to involve the DEA. They move all the dope, all the dope on private jets, which don't get screened by
customs,
by
anybody
inside the United States. Okay, they move what's called high-grade powder MDMA. They move cocaine, and they move liquid cocaine in their bottles too. Okay, so they put the liquid cocaine in the bottles and they move it. I've seen the liquid cocaine. I've drank it myself, having sex with Diddy and Cassie. Okay, it's not good. He drinks it all the time. Alright, he calls it G-Jit, but it's liquid cocaine.
Alright.
How do I know there's a conspiracy against Trump? Because it's in the Illuminati card deck. He should
Okay, we're about to go into the Illuminati card deck and all sorts of other things. That's for another video. And yes, we're going to have a disclaimer about the amount of tinfoil required for this in just a second. But first, Sigma Pi Phi, or the Black Boule, is the oldest black fraternity in the United States. And this is its symbol. And it's a real thing. And it used to be kind of a secret society, and now it's like a public fraternity all across the US. And that symbol looks an awful lot like LeBron's chest tattoo. For starters, the Black Boule deserves a whole other video, as does LeBron James. But y'all remember Juice WRLD, who died suddenly of a heart attack during a police raid on his plane where they found 41 vacuum sealed bags of marijuana? Died of a heart attack during the raid. Kind of weird. He was 21 years old at the time. And there are many instances of people getting caught smuggling drugs on private planes. All of these guys apparently did not have the protection of the rap industry or the Black Boule or whoever. I'm serious, tons of different instances. But it gets even more interesting when you look at what rappers own private jets. We'll skip to number 2, Diddy, whose plane is renowned for its intercontinental range. But number 1 is Jay-Z, and it was a gift from Bay, meaning probably a tax write-off because they're pretty smart business people. Then you got Drake, who aside from Russian oligarch, Saudi Prince Al-Walid bin Talal, at least formerly before they confiscated it, whole other Vegas shooting rabbit hole, Drake's plane is one of the 5 largest private jets in the world at the time in 2023. Lil Wayne, Rick Ross, who is mentioned in this interview directly, 50 Cent, and Travis Scott. There's probably more. That's just who was in that one article. And speaking of liquid cocaine, Ciroc Vodka and De Leon Tequila are mentioned multiple times in the original lawsuit, and they had partnerships directly with Diddy. But it's hard to tell what of this guy's testimony is him knowing things from firsthand knowledge versus him self-admittedly just doing a whole bunch of internet research and piecing things together and deciding to save the world by warning Donald Trump about a plot to kill him by his cousins, all the other presidents, Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. And if you're a real conspiracy nut, you might be like, yeah, dude. And if you're not, you might be like, yeah, this guy's fucking crazy. And you might fall somewhere in the middle, and that's okay. But it's pretty fun to think about. So yeah, more coming soon.
There you go. And the message for Trump was a warning. So Trump was not involved. As much as people would love that to be true, he wasn't. The guy was trying to warn Trump. Okay. So we got that one. We've got Cernovich. Hi, Jimmy Kimmel. Will you be still running for office as P. Diddy's vice president? Because he said that. Hang on a sec.
Maybe you could be president. Do you ever think about anything like that?
No.
Really, never?
No.
Why?
I wouldn't make a good president.
You don't think you'd be good?
I wouldn't really pass any of the things that you have to pass to, but I guess Trump did it.
Yeah, no.
No.
You would be a Boy Scout by comparison.
Yeah. Nah, I like doing what I'm doing.
You like doing it, yeah. There's no fun in that, is there?
I don't know if I could be responsible for the whole country.
You know what? I think that at this point, almost anybody would be doing a better job.
What about you?
Yeah, and I wouldn't do a better job, but I think I would, you know what, I would, if you agreed to run for president, I would be happy to be your running mate. Let's put it that way, all right?
I wonder if he still feels the same way now. Huh. Interesting, isn't it? By the way, I found out that a 3-letter agency has been allegedly playing with Australian elections for many, many years too, just like they do in other countries all over the world. And I don't know why I didn't click before, but, you know, they turn over like governments and put new ones in, install new people, and yeah, they've done it in Australia as well. Shadow of Ezra said the FBI is reportedly investigating the Kardashians for allegedly drugging prominent men to acquire critical documents for personal gain and blackmail. In footage obtained from Diddy's raid, Kim Kardashian is allegedly caught in activities that are expected to send shockwaves through the entertainment world. I wonder if Balenciaga is panicking right now. Well, we know a lot of people are. Okay, let's have a listen to this one.
high-profile men in order to pilfer crucial documents for personal enrichment and blackmail purposes.
Yes, you heard that right. They are accusing her of lacing drinks and things of that nature. So this story gets even crazier. Hold on. Watch this.
Saga unfolded when federal agents executed a dramatic raid on the residence of music mogul Diddy, revealing a cache of incriminating video footage. This footage purportedly captures Kardashian engaged in activities that have sent shockwaves through the entertainment and legal worlds alike. In a turn of events that has both stunned and captivated the public, the FBI claims that Kardashian is not only involved in the theft of vital information, but also used it as leverage to further her own interests. The gravity of these allegations has sent ripples through Hollywood.
So at this point, it look like the Fed's been keeping up with the Kardashians just like us. So I'm going to keep my ear to the street and I'll let y'all know what I know. I'm out.
Well done, mate. Except I don't follow the Kardashians. But yeah, anyway. JB Hassan FIFA? Oh, wow. Don't forget that Kris Jenner went into hiding when the feds first raided Diddy, and that they said this was fake news when it came out. Kris Jenner on the run, allegedly evidence found by feds from Diddy's house raid. Is anyone surprised? It goes deep. Shadow of Ezra said the FBI is reportedly investigating. Oh, yeah, I did read that one. That's the one I just did. Have. Okay. DOQ said President and CEO of Warner Music Japan resigning. CEO of Sony Music Nashville resigning. Not the only ones resigning either. Apparently, 23andMe, was it? The whole board just stepped down. Guys, I think we're coming to that weekend. Anyway, let's continue on. Craig Kelly said, think about it. While these government health bureaucrats were taking ecstasy and having drug-fueled orgies, they were locking people down, letting elderly people die lonely deaths, and preventing families supporting each other grieve at funerals. And it was these health bureaucrats that demanded anyone that questioned them be censored. If you haven't woken up yet, perhaps now is the time. Stephen Crowder, former New York City COVID czar, held secret drug-fueled sex parties during global pandemic. Says New Yorkers would have been pissed if they found out because he was running entire COVID response for the city. Let's have a listen to this man, Dr. Jay Varma.
I actually was the one who convinced the mayor to make it a mandate.
Like, New York City found out that you're having sex parties during COVID?
Yeah, it would have been a big deal. Yeah, it would have been real bad. We went to some like underground dance party underneath a bank in Wall Street. And we were all rolling, we were all taking Molly, and everybody's high. And I was so happy because I hadn't done that in a year and a half, a year or whatever. And but I was looking around being like, I wonder if anybody sees me, they're gonna do it. Because this was not COVID friendly. The only way I could do this job for the city was if I had some way to blow off steam every now and then. You're kind of sneaky about it because hotels didn't want people gathering there. Because I was running the entire COVID response of the city. My wife and I had one with our friends, in August of that first summer. So we rented a hotel and it was fun. We all took Molly, and it was 8 or 9 of us and 10 of us in a room, and everybody had a blast because everybody was so pent up because it had been everybody was just stuck together and stuff like that. Yeah. And sometimes it isn't so much about imagery and sex. Sometimes it's just something about bodies being close to each other, just being naked with friends.
Being naked with friends and tunnels under the bank in New York City. Okay.
It was the summer of 2020. So walk around the streets and you can eat outdoors.
Did you have any mandates in place?
There wasn't any restrictions on gathering. You could technically gather people. The hotels didn't want to necessarily have parties, but they weren't gonna
It's so funny. It's because I did all this deviant sexual stuff while I was on TV and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And people are aren't you afraid? Aren't you embarrassed? And I was like, no, actually, I'm really I love being my authentic self.
So the way we do it in public health is we make it very uncomfortable to be unvaccinated. I don't expect your education to change your behavior. I'm just gonna make it really hard for you to do your job. You can't get a job. You can't go to a restaurant. You can't go to school. It's I'm just gonna get vaccinated.
So was it technically kind of forcing people?
Yeah, that's what you force people by making it really uncomfortable.
Very interesting stuff indeed. Sorry about the volume on that. It was up and down and all over the place, let me tell you. I was trying to adjust it as we were going, but it wasn't working. Okay, so that's what they were doing when everyone was locked down in New York. Okay, I'm pretty sure our politicians here in Australia were doing similar things, including Daniel Andrews, who seemed to sniff something, turn around and did a press conference. Okay, rubbing his face and nose. Actually, come to think of it, Jacinda Ardern, the New Zealand Prime Minister, also was doing the same thing. Peter Sweden said breaking, the Dutch government has officially informed the EU that they want to opt out of the Migration Pact. Looks like the Netherlands want to close their borders. I've read that a couple of times in the last few days. Hopefully they do. Steve said, holy crap, Tim Walz's family now. Lady Gaga's dad endorses Donald Trump. Are you noticing a pattern here? Apparently that's Lady Gaga's dad and he's endorsing Donald Trump. Okay, I won't play the video because I've got a lot to get through. George said, when do you New Yorkers ever stop for anything? Trump is on his way through the city to do his rally in Uniondale and thousands of New Yorkers have lined the streets to see him. No wonder he believes he can win New York. This is gorgeous. This is so good to see. Look at that. Go New York. JJB McGill, Esquire, said, as a farmer, I get my ass chewed if I knock a couple of trees over, but Nigel Satterley can knock over 60,000 plus in Perth Hills to make dollars. Here in Australia, if you want to cut a tree down, you've got to pay. You've got to pay the council and then you've got to pay to have it cut down, right? Because they're protected for some reason. That's why the owner won't take any of the trees down around this house because it'll cost them a fortune. Anyway, but they can go and knock over 60,000 plus trees in the Perth Hills or anywhere else they deem fit to make some money with solar panels and wind farms. Oz Integrity said, whoa, in the 2022-23 financial year, Albo brought in 737,000 people and only 1,800 were tradies. Don't be fooled for a second into thinking Australian Labor government has any intention of increasing productivity through migration. He's debt loading the country. You will own nothing and be happy. Pauline Hanson said Australians deserve better than this hollow socialist agenda that the Albanese Labor government is pushing. We see it plain as day. Labor's housing policies are designed to strip us of the Australian dream, leaving everyday Australians struggling to keep a roof over their heads while foreign investors and big government take control. If you don't own your home, you don't have security, and that's exactly what Labor wants. One nation has the solutions: cut immigration, ban foreign ownership, and let Aussies build their own homes again. Let's take back our country before it's too late. And I agree with Pauline Hanson. She's one of the only last hopes we have. Okay. Then we have Malcolm Roberts. Not even the Human Rights Commission can remember how many letters there are to recognise the gender identity crowd. This is what we get for $32 million a year. What a bad joke. We pay here in Australia $32 million a year for the trans community and education and all that sort of stuff. Now listen to this. I've got to make sure my volume's right. I'll pause it actually while I check. Okay, it does look to be fine. Let's have a listen.
How many letters after LGB does the Commission recognise?
We use a range of terms to refer to the communities. Sometimes we would refer to LGBTQIA+, because of the ways in which people refer to themselves. We also use the terms that are referred to in international discussions, which is sexual orientation, gender identity, expression, and SC, which for the moment escapes me, but it's another term that's used at an international level.
Okay, thank you.
So she's got no idea how many different terms there are, but she runs this thing. For $32 million a year, I'd want you to know what you're doing. But I think $32 million a year is too much. Then here again in Australia, Drew Pavlou said Hezbollah is a listed terrorist organisation in Australia. Australian Greens Senator Marine Faruqi is a terrorist sympathiser. Marine Faruqi said the horrific Pages attack that has killed 9 people, including a young child, and left thousands wounded across Lebanon is exactly the type of sickening warfare people in Naarm, Melbourne, there's no Naarm, it's just Melbourne, were protesting against. The perpetrators must be held to account. Well, Marine Faruqi, why don't you Faruqi ride off and go back over there? You go over there and go protest over there. You're doing no good in the Australian Senate. And in fact, you're supporting a bloody terrorist organisation, you half-wit. Okay, Anthony Scalise said Naser al-Zayadat, sharing how Muslim votes matter, hopes to mobilise and vote as a bloc in Australian elections. This political group has no place in Australia as it threatens to reshape our nation, pushing policies, prioritising Islamic agendas. We can't allow this. Let's have a listen.
The name is Muslim Votes Matter. We want to mobilize the Muslim community so that they can vote as a bloc. We vote as a bloc to those who deserve our votes. The name is Muslim Votes Matter. We want to mobilize the...
You know what? If this was a movie, right, and it was going to turn, I would love for the Muslim community to join the Conservatives of Australia. Now, that would be funny. Elon Musk said they're actually trying to make posting memes illegal. Vote them out. Well, they're doing that here in Australia. Doge designers said they arrested you for posting memes in the UK. Now they'll arrest you for posting memes in the US. Vote for Trump to protect your freedom of speech. You know what? Australian government's mis and disinformation bill that they're trying to pass through will make anyone in any country liable. If you post a meme that tells Australians information the government don't want them to know. How's that? So if you're an American, they can fine you. If you're in the UK, they can fine you. Same as when the UK did it. Apparently us here in Australia and the US, we can be fined. Bring it on. Can't get blood out of a stone, I'm telling you now. Europe Invasion said, breaking news, Irish patriots rise up against mass immigration, foreigners out. Go Ireland. They're yelling out, our streets. Go Ireland. Il Donaldo Trumpo said, I love you. I don't know why he makes me giggle. God love him. Seriously. Thumbs up to you too, mate. Cat Turd said, I bet the freak-off parties are a little different for Diddy in jail. Yeah, he's apparently in quite a hard jail too. Okay, Pauline Hanson said, today I questioned the Albanese Labor government about the impact of high immigration on Australia. It's clear to everyone that skyrocketing immigration is crippling Australians, whether it's housing, rental availability, infrastructure, roads or water. Everything is under pressure. Yet the minister just read from a script, completely ignoring my question. Why? Because he couldn't give a real answer. When Labor came into power in May 2022, they projected 470,000 migrants over their first 2 years. Instead, nearly 1 million migrants have entered the country under this government. Despite claiming they're addressing the issues, the numbers tell a different story. Australia's population grew by 655,800 in 2023-24, one of the highest increases in history, yet Labor continues to look the other way. Labor has no plan to fix this. They're propping up the GDP with high immigration while ignoring the devastating effects on everyday Australians. We're now facing a household recession and worsening housing crisis because this government refuses to act. It's too late. The damage has been done. If we don't rein in immigration, more Australians will find themselves unable to afford homes or even keep a roof over their heads. Go Pauline. If you're in Australia, vote Pauline. Craig Kelly said today is a sad and shameful day in Australian history. Australia, especially Victorians, are being humiliated on the global stage. Forced to pay $380 million in compensation because Victorians elected corrupt and incompetent politicians. Corrupt because the Dan Andrews government corruptly promised the Commonwealth Games to regional Victoria to secure the 2022 election for the Labor Party. Incompetent because Victoria is such a corrupt place to do business that no major project can be constructed at a reasonable cost because of the extortion from CFMEU. That Glasgow has had to bail Victoria out should make us embarrassed to be Australians. And not just embarrassed, but financially penalised, with every Victorian man, woman and child paying $50 to make up the $380 in compensation Victoria is paying to Scotland. Is it 380 or 380 million? And as final demonstration of how corrupt Australia has become, earlier this year, Daniel Andrews was awarded our nation's highest civilian honour, a Companion of the Order of Australia for eminent service to the people and Parliament of Victoria. A shameful day in Australian history. Glasgow to host the 2026 Commonwealth Games after rescue deal agreed. The Scottish Government accepts scaled-down version of event after multi-million-pound Australian offer. And that's all because of this half-wit, who also allegedly may have run over a child, him and his wife, and were not breathalyzed, breath tested or anything for alcohol. Yeah, nothing at all. He was probably high on coke. End wokeness, path to American citizenship. Step 1, empower the bureaucracy. Step 2 is censor speech and dissent. Step 3, disarm the population. The only candidate running against this agenda is called a threat to democracy. Don't let it happen, guys. Elon Musk said they make fraud impossible to prove. Kyle Becker said just in, election officials in Luzerne County, Pennsylvania, have banned all mail-in drop boxes from the county over concerns of fraud. There you go. Yeah, I would go in person and make sure that you're counted and where it's going to. Senator Gerard Rennick said prominent activist Monica Schmidt has been ordered to pay more than $200,000 in legal costs after a court found she was unlawfully arrested during anti-lockdown protests in Melbourne in October 2020. And she had to pay. She was found innocent. Anyway, Miss Schmidt was awarded $4,000 in damages after 2 of her 3 claims were successful, but substantial costs were awarded to the Victorian government on Friday as she turned down a pre-trial settlement of $15,000. We did get a fair hearing, but I don't think this is fair, she said. Do you think it's fair for someone from the public to win their case and then have a $200,000 costs ordered against them? I don't think people know that this happens. I don't think that people know that this is the risk people take to stand up to authorities, and now they're going to know. The 36-year-old sued the Victorian government for false imprisonment in July. The County Court of Victoria on Thursday ruled 2 of the 3 arrests were unlawful, as the government had failed in those instances to prove the elements required under Section 458 of the Crimes Act for summary arrest. Ms. Schmidt spent 22 days in custody on charges of inciting others to attend the 2021 protest. Those charges were eventually dropped and she was later found guilty without conviction of breaching COVID orders. So let's get this straight. After getting unlawfully arrested twice by a totalitarian thug, Monica seeks justice only to be slapped with a $200,000 bill for doing so. Just like our political system, our judicial system is sadly lacking in integrity. It's no wonder people are losing faith in our institutions, and bravo to Monica for fighting the good fight. Your courage is to be commended. You poor woman. So she was unlawfully arrested but had to pay $200,000 to the Victorian government. That is insane. Okay, and Wokeness said, holy shit. Former Chief BP agent Aaron Heitke was ordered by Biden-Harris to cover up the disaster at the border. Data hidden on terror encounters, $150,000 flights to fly illegals to Texas, 0 resources to track fentanyl. Wow. McAmius said, I bought a property approximately 8 years ago. I've sold it and recently settled. I've paid land tax every year. I've paid rates every year. I've paid water, sewerage, park rates every year. Now I have to pay the government $200,000 in tax because I made profit. I'm now going back into the market to go purchase another property in which I'll then need to pay stamp duty and other tax and go through all the red tape again. People say taxation is part of life. I say taxation is theft. I take the risk I have to pay them tax during the entire ownership for no reason other than for them to pay back a debt that they forced upon the people, and people don't think this is theft? Wake up to yourselves. I'm sick of it, seriously. Wyatt said we were told to watch the wives, but they never mentioned the need for eye bleach. Many thought watch the wives referred to their inherited wealth, family connections being the actual handlers, running their husband's show from the sidelines, etc. Turns out it's kind of true and means watch the wives because many are dudes. Seems elite gender inversion is real. Big Mike is at the top of the phallic iceberg. Yeah, I agree, mate. Okay, Anthony Albanese, Australian Labor parody, which is a parody, right? It's not the real one. Just got my monkeypox vaccine to protect myself and prevent further transmission to the broader community. Because we all know he's a bit on the gay side. Okay, Wyatt said the entire board of directors of 23andMe has resigned since Diddy's arrest. They know what's coming. Read this if you need to take a screenshot. Yep. Okay, there you go. Leading report said breaking hip-hop producer Pharrell Williams tells celebrities making public political endorsements to shut up, nobody asked you. Well, they're good on you, Pharrell. Okay. Ian Cook Victoria said breaking news. Ian Cook has just announced he's running for election to the city of Greater Dandenong in order to fight council corruption, lowering rates and to cut council spending. I believe you shouldn't just complain about corruption, you have to fight it, Ian said. Council corruption must end immediately and the best way to achieve this is for me to get into council and change the place from within. This is what most people have got to do. If you'd like to support Ian's legal fight against council corruption, please donate here via GoFundMe. NB, contributions made to support Ian's legal efforts are entirely separate from his election campaign and will not be used for campaign-related expenses. Vote 1 Ian Cook, Yarraman Ward, Dandenong. And guys, please do. This is the guy where the health official went in and put a slug in his restaurant and tried to charge him with it because he was competition. The government had like a Meals on Wheels type, say it was a Meals on Wheels type thing, right? Well, the government had their own that they wanted to get off the ground, so they set this guy up. Okay, Quelly said, Suicide Week hot for the music industry. Yikes. Word of advice for those who participated in sexual acts at the now infamous Diddy freak-offs. Come clean now. TikTok. Exposure is here. Advice for those observing. Track Resignations, which we just did. Had a look at that. You've also got, I noticed on my recommended on YouTube, Oprah is having some kind of live stream event to save America. Okay. I reckon she's part of this too. Mark PG said Labor politicians all over X today bringing down the Greens, calling them vile names because they refuse to let their co-own a policy through the Senate. So we can take it next election, all Labor Party candidates will put Greens last on the ballot. I'm hoping. We'll see. They're turning on each other now. Not only that, okay, look, Anthony Albanese is threatening a double dissolution, right? He's going to lose anyway if he does. Justin Trudeau is something's going on there with their election, like no confidence or something. I think this is all going to go down at the same time. It's getting, or at least it's getting, something's getting red, something big is going to break, apart from Diddy. Diddy or didn't he? I think he's already broken. Fletch 17 said, will Camilla get the boot? Wow, just out from Donald Trump. The FBI caught Iran spying on my campaign and giving all of the information to the Kamala Harris campaign. Therefore, she and her campaign were illegally spying on me. To be known as the Iran case, will Kamala resign and disgrace from politics? Will the communist left pick a new candidate to replace her? I don't know. Oprah or Big Mike? I don't know. One of them. Yorkshire Lass said Israel Megiddo will be the site of the final battle, Armageddon. The Bible says the Antichrist and his armies will come from the north and invade Jerusalem in the battle of Megiddo. The Battle of Armageddon refers to the final war and the great war between human governments and God. These satanic governments and their supporters oppose God. The Battle of Armageddon will bring human rulership tyranny to an end. Revelation shows that the place that is called in Hebrew Armageddon, the kings of the entire inhabited earth, will be gathered together to the war of the great day of the God the Almighty. Jesus Christ will lead a heavenly army to victory over God's enemies. The Battle of Armageddon will encompass the whole earth. Megiddo was once a city in the territory of ancient Israel. Armageddon will not be the end of our planet, since the earth is mankind's home. Rather than destroying humanity, Armageddon actually saves it because a great crowd of God's people will survive. They're saving Israel for last. Very specific reason. It's not mentioned a single time. It's going to be biblical. If you don't believe me, just wait and see. Shadow of Ezra said Trump closed his rally in New York tonight with the iconic opera piece Nessun Dorma. Famously featured in The Sum of All Fears, the movie's plot centres around a near assassination of the US president in a bid to ignite World War III between US and Russia. In a dramatic finale, the song plays as the masterminds behind the assassination attempt are taken out one by one. There's a message there. Trump has notably chosen this song following both assassination attempts against him, first at the RNC and again tonight in New York. None shall sleep. I wonder if anyone's going to turn up dead, passed away all of a sudden. God love him. And it sucks because on YouTube I can't even play the song. Okay. D Friends or Meme said, hey you, what the fuck? This is a close-up of it. How old is she? Or is she just aging really quickly? Or is that a mask? The Yorkshire lass said P. Diddy indictment has just been unsealed and there's a shitload of CEOs suddenly stepping down. Coincidence? No, I don't think so. Chaya Raychek said, so someone decided to train a bomb-sniffing dog at the exact location as the Trump rally on the exact date that Trump is holding his rally, and the police allegedly had no idea this training was taking place and detained the person who reported the dog found explosives? This whole story isn't adding up. What is going on here? So someone just so happened to be training a bomb detection dog the same day Trump is to speak and conveniently near him. How stupid do they think we are? I mean, I get their brainwashed lemmings believe it, but the rest of us, seriously? They were trying to plant something, I'd say. Okay, and here in Australia, we're sick of the welcome to country nonsense. It's been allowed to fester far too long. Australians are now being told welcome to countries that have been performed for 250,000 years and weren't invented to cater to white people. If they're not to cater to white people, why are white people constantly subjected to them? These welcomes are based on a lie, that Ernie Dingo made up, that Australia is not our home. So many people tell me they're just over it. Welcome to country performances are just racial antagonism disguised as reconciliation, imposed on children before they even get to school. Australia is home to all Australians and we don't need or want to be welcomed to our own home. We have shed blood, sweat and tears to build our home and defend our home. We have as much right to live in our home as anyone else. If you hand over my home to someone else, I have nothing to fight for. If you hand over Australia, I will not defend it and neither will my children. Being an elder doesn't obligate my respect. Respect is earned, not given away to racial exceptionalism. Being Aboriginal does not make someone exceptional. Being an Australian is what makes you exceptional. That's the identity we all share. In this spirit, I stand and turn my back on welcome to country performances in Parliament and public. Good on you, Pauline. Everyone should do the same. Turn your back on it. It's a shame that so many other political leaders are too gutless to follow the same principle, desperate not to lose votes to the radical left. I strongly encourage other Australians to do the same. Stop being walked over and stand up for your home. So if you're at a footy game and they start doing this welcome to country, turn your back. Stand with your back to them. Okay, Jason Moon, OHB, opinion on Tuesday morning as Kath and Dan Andrews, along with both current and former members of Victoria Police, opened the Herald Sun. They were confronted with a brutal reality that an expert report detailing 11 years of lies and the biggest political cover-up in Australian history was now public. Unlike those who cling to the fantasy that Dan Andrews is untouchable, the media took a sharp turn this week, unceremoniously throwing the Andrews and Victoria Police under a bus after a bombshell report by the highly decorated and respected former Assistant Traffic Commissioner, Dr. Raymond Shuey. His report exposed 11 years of deceit, a political cover-up and police incompetence. Dr. Shuey's thorough crash report effectively ended the Andrews-VicPol cover-up. VicPol's panicked response was to issue a press release refusing to reopen the investigation. Of course they refused. To do so would mean investigating themselves and likely charging at least 3 of their own, possibly including the current Assistant Police Commissioner. But it was Dan Andrews' rebuttal to Dr. Shuey's report that sent shards of laughter through the newsrooms and social media when he accused Dr. Shuey and the mainstream media of spreading conspiracy theories. Yes, Daniel Andrews did that. The rebuttal spectacularly backfired. Andrews has retreated, and who knows what Victoria Police are busy shredding. By all accounts, it's over for both Catherine and Dan Andrews and for certain members of Victoria Police. There's no more if, there's only when. The when is when this sordid cast is eventually dragged kicking and screaming into a courtroom to face justice. And it will happen. It's only a matter of time. In the meantime, there is one aspect of the crash that's always bothered me, and it's this. Daniel Andrews claimed his wife Catherine was behind the wheel of the SUV. But I don't know any mother reckless enough to cut a corner in a large government vehicle at speed and on the wrong side of the road with her 3 young children in the back seat. Mothers reading this, am I right? True. However, a man, especially an ignorant narcissist with no compassion for anyone but himself, may be drunk, angry, in a hurry, or simply being reckless. Well, that seems far more likely. Dr. Shuey even stated in his report it's plausible that Daniel Andrews, not his wife, was the driver. Imagine that. So the question we should be asking is this. Is Mrs. Andrews prepared to face a very public and potentially ugly trial where it could be proven she lied and took part in a cover-up to protect her husband so that he could be elected Premier? And if so, is Mrs. Andrews prepared to go to jail if the lie and cover-up are proven? These and other allegations are stated outright and embedded within Dr. Shuey's report. How would her now grown-up children feel about their dad under such circumstances? The children know who the driver was, and if the SUV cut the corner at speed and was on the wrong side of the road, as Dr. Shuey concluded. At least the 2 oldest know. If the Andrews were to be charged and their mother stood to be convicted and jailed, is it at that time one or more of the siblings would feel compelled to come forward and call out the lie? And assuming Daniel Andrews accepts that Dr. Shuey's findings are true, does he have it in him to put an end to the speculation, fess up and face the consequences? Remember, Catherine Andrews told police and the public she was the driver. If that's the case, she's ultimately responsible for the crash, the lies, the political cover-up Dr. Shuey's report has so thoroughly exposed. But this is still to unfold, and it will unfold. In the meantime, let me leave the dwindling number of Daniel Andrews supporters with this, a qualifications comparison between the man at the centre of this scandal and the man he accuses of spreading conspiracy theories. The qualifications of Daniel Andrews are 5 years to complete an arts degree, from 90 to 95. Then he joined the Labor Party in 96, the Bike Boy scandal and political cover-up, 2013, still ongoing, destroyed Victoria from 2014 to 2023, refused entry to elite golf clubs, 2024, he was refused entry, expert in identifying conspiracy theorists, apparently, 2020 to 2024. Then you've got Dr. Raymond Shuey's qualifications. He's a PhD, a doctorate in international road safety and road policing, Bachelor of Arts, post-graduation of criminology, diploma of police studies, diploma of government investigations, certificate 4 in training and assessment, Australian Security Academy, upgraded in 2019, alumni to RMIT, Melbourne and Monash universities. Wow. He's got police training qualifications. He's got other qualifications. Private security investigator. Wow. So there you go. Who's right and who's wrong? I believe this man, not Daniel Andrews. He was the one. He was the worst in Australia during the lockdowns. He was a mini Hitler. Ariel said, did you catch what Donald Trump said at the Uniondale rally? He said you may never see him again. Did he? The question you should be asking yourself is why? Do you think it's time for the shift to take place? Do you think Donald Trump has played his part and it's time for him to step aside? Do you think the US military is ready to step in and take over during the transition period? And for those looking for it, I want to see it.
These people, the law enforcement, they're afraid in these places because it's so violent. They've never seen people like this. These are violent people that they're allowing into our country. It is truly an invasion, and we're not going to let it happen. We're going to take those violent people and we're going to ship them back to their country. And if they come back in, they're going to pay a hell of a price. Thank you. We have no choice. We have no choice. It's not like, this is not sustainable by any country. This is not sustainable. How about in Springfield, Ohio? They had 32,000. This is a little beautiful town. No crime, no problem. 32,000 illegal immigrants come into the town, 32. So they almost doubled their population in a period of a few weeks. Can you believe it? And you know what? They've got to get much tougher. I'm going to go there in the next 2 weeks. I'm going to Springfield and I'm going to Aurora. You may never see me again, but that's okay. Got to do what I got to do. Whatever happened to Trump? Well, he never got out of Springfield.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe one day, but it cannot go slow. The initial wave will be fast and meaningful. Send a signal to others immediately. You'll see the tide turn. Not even the MSN can hide us. And rest assured, some people will be jailed as deep cover agents. Okay. Yeah, I think comedy is, the Haitians might eat him. You never know. Look, I'm hopefully not. Okay, and this one, Geoloft tagged me in this. Perfect. Holy shit. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. exposes the deep state in under 2 minutes. Let's go. This is huge.
Everyone has heard President Trump's signature phrase,
Drain the swamp in Washington, D.C.
His instinct is spot on. The problem is that in Washington, it's not just about a few corrupt individuals. It's a whole crooked system. It's the federal agencies, it's the lobbyists, it's the think tanks and research organizations, it's the university and the academic groups and the media. And it's the corporations that have captured these agencies and turned them into sock puppets for the industries they're supposed to regulate. Well, I've spent 40 years suing almost all of these agencies and many of the industries, and I know the names in many of these agencies of the bad actors who need to be moved out. I understand the perverse incentives that put agency capture on steroids. I know how this system is supposed to work to protect the public interest and how it actually works to protect the mercantile interests of the regulated industries that have captured it. And I know how to fix it. When you sue an agency, you get a PhD in corporate capture and how to unravel it. And that's exactly what I'm going to do with Donald Trump's backing. Let me tell you what we're going to do. We're going to appoint honest officials who don't have conflicts of interest. We're going to listen to whistleblowers and act on their revelations. We're going to slam shut the revolving door that sends industry executives and lobbyists in and out of government. We're going to fire anyone who betrays the public trust or lies to the public. And we're going to prohibit federal agencies from using their powers to harass political opponents. That's what it means to drain the swamp. One of my priorities in Washington will be to make sure that President Trump can follow through on his promise and return us to a government of the people and to make America healthy again.
Nice one. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there for today. I hope you have a good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. And I'll talk to you soon. Okay, guys, bye.